the levels and things. What was it that kind of, how did you first get involved with it?
He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't start drama. But if Jason Statham has a problem with you, you'll feel it. He won't tweet about it. He won't throw drinks or deliver backhanded compliments on red carpets. He'll just stop talking, stop working, and when the cameras roll, he'll make sure you know it.
In using the tools that he's got in his back pocket. And I think that makes it all the more interesting.
For a guy who built his career on bruises, blood, and doing his own stunts, Jason Statham doesn't have patience for pretense. He doesn't believe in green screens, body doubles, or capes. And when it comes to co-stars or competitors who do, he's not subtle about it.
Parker! You touch me and Danziger will hunt you down!
All of the big faces that you recognise, they obviously need to test themselves and push themselves.
Nick Wilde, how you doing? You need to come with us. Mr. DeMarco's waiting.
He's worked with legends, faced down egos, and turned low-budget roles into cult icons. But along the way, there were people who crossed the line. Actors he clashed with, respected less, or straight up couldn't stand. And the thing about Statham? If you make his list, you're not getting off it.
This, lads, is a hurling. Used in the Irish game of hurling.
Because in this industry, some beefs get buried. But the real ones, the cold ones, they linger. And when Statham keeps it quiet, that silence speaks louder than anything he could ever post. So who's on the wrong end of that silence? These are the 6 actors Jason Statham never looked back at. And the reasons he left them behind. Number 1. Paul Bettany. Some feuds don't explode, they spark quietly and burn in the background. In 2015, Jason Statham gave an interview that was blunt, even by his standards. He called out superhero movies as not real acting. Said any actor who needed wires, CGI, and stunt doubles might as well be replaced by a mannequin. Or, as he put it, my grandmother could do it. It wasn't a personal attack, not yet. But the target was clear, the Marvel machine. Big budget, green screen, one-liner heavy performances, everything Statham stands against. The quote lit a fuse, and the first one to respond, Paul Bettany. At the time, Bettany had just stepped into the MCU spotlight as Vision, but instead of ignoring the jab, he fired back, sarcastic but sharp. Tell Jason I've got an acting double and a CGI double, Bettany said, and he's very good. On paper, it was a joke, but in Hollywood, that kind of humor is never just humor. Statham didn't respond. He didn't tweet, didn't clarify. But people close to the actor said the jab landed, not because it hurt, but because it confirmed what he already thought. Bettany represented exactly what Statham rejects. Actors who perform inside a digital machine rather than fight through a real scene. And Statham's always made it clear. He doesn't buy into fantasy. He believes in grit. For a while it seemed harmless. 2 actors on different tracks, but behind the scenes, the distance got wider. Casting directors noticed it. One Marvel-adjacent producer even admitted Statham had turned down multiple offers from big superhero stuff because, in his words, it's not my thing, too much pretending. That wasn't just about capes, that was about people. And though Bettany never pushed the feud further, the damage was done. There was no reconciliation, no team-up, no polite back and forth for press, just quiet dismissal.
You know, I've had some of the best experiences I've had to date are from, writer-directors that have,
Bettany moved on. So did Statham. But if you ask around, there's one thing people in the industry agree on. Those two will never share a frame. Not because of scheduling, because of principle. In Statham's world, it's simple. If you mock the way he works, you don't get a second chance. Number 2. Steven Seagal. Jason Statham has worked with legends, but he draws a hard line between respect and delusion. And Steven Seagal, he crossed that line a long time ago. For years, Seagal claimed to be one of the most dangerous men in Hollywood. An Aikido master, a real-life enforcer, someone who didn't just act like a fighter, but was one. And maybe in the late 80s, that sold. But not to Jason Statham. Statham never called him out directly. He didn't have to. His silence said enough. And when asked about Seagal's reputation, Statham smirked. "You don't need to talk about how tough you are," he once said in an interview. "You just show up." That quote made the rounds fast, because everyone knew who it was about. Seagal, on the other hand, kept talking. In multiple interviews, he bragged about being the real deal in Hollywood. He downplayed actors like Statham and The Rock, calling them performers, not fighters. The irony? Statham actually fought, trained, bled. He was a world-class diver, a martial artist, a stuntman before an actor. Seagal, by contrast, had a history of exaggerated claims, soft hits, and behind-the-scenes temper tantrums. And Statham saw right through it. When a reporter once asked him if he'd ever do a film with Seagal, Statham didn't even blink. He just said, "No interest, no drama, no elaboration, just dismissal."
I don't know, it's a bit personal for me.
Like, do you cry during films? Have you ever
Do I
cried?
cry? Do I cry during films? Not this one, no.
For someone like Statham, who built his name on credibility, Seagal represented everything wrong with the action genre. Too much myth, not enough grit, too many words, not enough reality. They never crossed paths on screen, never appeared on the same panel, never even exchanged words publicly. But in the industry, the tension is clear. Statham has worked with Stallone, Schwarzenegger and Van Damme, guys who earned their reputations. But when it came to Seagal, he kept his distance. Because in Statham's world, respect isn't based on stories you tell about yourself. It's based on what you do when the director calls action. And Steven Seagal, he never made the cut. Number 3. Jean-Claude Van Damme. In the world of action films, you'd expect Jason Statham and Jean-Claude Van Damme to respect each other. They come from similar DNA, martial arts backgrounds, physical roles, international appeal. But when they finally shared the screen in The Expendables 2, it didn't go as smoothly as fans imagined. Behind the scenes, there was friction. Not shouting, not brawling, but ego, quiet competition. According to production insiders, Van Damme arrived with a certain attitude, not aggressive, but expectant. He wanted things his way, camera angles, choreography, billing. And for someone like Statham, who shows up early, does the work, and never asks for attention, that didn't sit well. Tension built slowly, not through arguments, but through energy. Statham kept his head down. Van Damme made himself visible. The fight scene between their characters, one of the film's highlights, looked great on camera, but off camera, it was a different story. Statham didn't appreciate how rehearsals were slowed down, redone, or redirected to cater to Van Damme's preferences. In one interview, Van Damme called Statham very serious on set. It sounded like a compliment, but the tone was off, like he couldn't figure him out. Statham, for his part, didn't return the praise. He spoke openly about working with Stallone, with Jet Li, with Dolph Lundgren, but Van Damme's name rarely came up. "There are people who come to set ready to work, and then there are the others," Statham said once without naming names. The message was clear. There was no second collaboration, no follow-up project. And in a franchise that revolved around familiar faces, that silence says everything. Because for Statham, it isn't about legacy or status. It's about discipline, humility, and showing up with respect. And if you miss that mark, even once, he remembers. Number 4. Tyrese Gibson. The Fast and Furious franchise built its empire on muscle, speed, and loyalty. But off-camera, that loyalty started to crack, and Jason Statham had no interest in the noise that came with it. Tyrese Gibson became one of the loudest voices during the behind-the-scenes drama that unfolded during Fast 8 and Hobbs & Shaw. When Dwayne Johnson signed on for the spin-off with Statham, Tyrese took it as a betrayal. He vented publicly, long Instagram posts, passive-aggressive interviews, and eventually, direct shots. But Statham? He stayed silent. He didn't respond, didn't defend the project, didn't clap back. Because for him, the drama was unnecessary, the movie was business, and Tyrese turning it into something personal only confirmed what Statham already suspected. Some people bring more baggage than value. In the Fast world, most of the core cast maintained a tight bond, even when cameras weren't rolling. But Statham always stood slightly apart, professional, efficient, focused. He didn't go out partying. He didn't engage in ego wars. He just showed up, did the work, and left. And that's exactly why the tension with Tyrese quietly grew. There was no confrontation, no shouting match, but those around the set noticed it. Statham didn't spend time in Tyrese's orbit. He avoided interviews with him, steered clear of promotional events they shared, not out of anger, but indifference. "Some people work, others talk," Statham said in a press junket when asked about the drama. It was the only time he acknowledged it at all. After Hobbs and Shaw, Tyrese continued his commentary. Statham continued making movies, and the distance between them became permanent, because for Statham, professionalism is non-negotiable, and if someone can't separate the job from the spotlight, he won't waste a minute trying to fix it. Some actors burn bridges. Statham just walks around them. Number 5. Superhero, or Marvel. Actors in general. Jason Statham isn't subtle about the kind of acting he respects. It's not about the costume, it's about the contact. In a 2015 interview, he unloaded his thoughts on superhero movies and the actors who star in them. No names, no personal attacks, but the message was direct. He doesn't rate them. "You're standing in front of a green screen wearing a cape, having a stunt double do all the work. Come on," he said. "My grandma could do that." That line became a headline, and inside the superhero world, it didn't land well. Marvel actors like Paul Bettany clapped back. Others shrugged it off, but fans didn't forget. Because while the superhero genre ruled the box office, Statham was one of the only A-listers who openly refused to play the game. He turned down multiple offers from Marvel and DC, confirmed by casting insiders and directors alike. When asked why, his answer was always the same. Too much pretending, not enough reality. He wasn't interested in flying, he was interested in fighting. And for a man who insists on doing his own stunts, his own choreography, his own physical work, playing a CGI-enhanced character just didn't appeal. To him, it wasn't about ego, it was about honesty. Statham views superhero acting as style without substance, performance filtered through digital effects, not presence. And that puts him at odds with an entire generation of performers who've made careers in the Marvel machine. He's never attacked Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, or Robert Downey Jr. directly. But you can feel the distance. Statham's from a different school, one where pain is real, stunts are real, and respect is earned on set, not rendered in post. And he's made peace with that line in the sand. "I'm not saying they're not talented," he said in a later interview. "I'm just saying, it's not for me, never will be." It wasn't meant as war, it was meant as separation. And in Statham's world, once that line is drawn, it rarely gets erased. Number 6. Dwayne Johnson. On paper, Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson should have been perfect together. Two alpha action stars, global box office draw, real physical credibility. And when they first collided in Fast and Furious 7, that chemistry was undeniable. The tension was real, on screen and off. But while audiences loved the dynamic, behind the scenes, things weren't always smooth. By the time Fast 8 wrapped, The Rock was making headlines, publicly criticizing his co-stars for being unprofessional and candy asses. Everyone assumed the target was Vin Diesel, but the ripple effect hit the whole cast. And Statham doesn't do drama. He didn't clap back. He didn't defend anyone. He simply kept his distance. When Johnson signed on for the Hobbs and Shaw spin-off, Statham joined, but quietly. No big press tour, no social media hype, just work. That's how he operates. But Johnson? He operates differently. Bigger, louder, public. And for a while that difference worked, until it didn't. Insiders say Johnson's presence on set became dominant. Creative control shifted. Scheduling got tighter. Tensions rose, not explosive, but felt. And Statham, who values efficiency and respect, didn't always mesh with that. "Some guys want the spotlight. I want to finish the scene," Statham once said. They finished Hobbs and Shaw without incident. But after that, everything went quiet. No sequel announcements, no co-star shout-outs, just silence. And in Hollywood, silence is never just silence. Statham never attacked The Rock. He never needed to. but their partnership, once hyped as the future of the franchise, faded fast. No bad blood. Just the kind of professional distance that doesn't come from anger, but from experience. Because Statham isn't interested in ego, he's interested in focus, and if you're not pulling in the same direction, he'd rather walk alone. Jason Statham doesn't leave a trail of headlines, he leaves a pattern. No drama, no press, just a sharp, quiet silence for the people he won't work with again. And once you're on that list, there's no comeback. Some actors burn bridges for attention, Statham just disappears. And somehow, that says more than words ever could. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think still deserves a second shot? Hit like, subscribe, and if you're into stories that don't play nice, consider joining the channel. We don't do noise, we do facts, and the names you were never supposed to hear.